My Uncle Paul was an amazing man, an amazing Marine, and he would come and visit often. Just whenever he could, he would come down and visit, and he always taught me these really amazing life lessons, things that always stood out to me. At least when I was older, I could look back on and reflect. I don't know the impact and what it had. I'm sure it had a huge impact as a kid, but at the time, I don't know how much I recognized him. For instance, this one particular time he came out and he was hanging out with us, and he was always going out on runs. And I asked him, I was like, hey, I want to go on a run with you. And he was like, all right, we're going to do 6 miles on the beach. And I was pumped up. I said, yep, hell yeah, I'm going to go with you. We're going to make this happen. And I actually bragged to all my buddies. I told everybody, I'm in the 3rd grade, and I'm bragging to them about this run that I'm going to do with this Marine. And it was 6 miles, and we're going back and forth. And one of my buddies at school said, there's no way, it's not going to happen. And after a little bit of arguing, we put the gauntlet down and said, we're going to bet $5. Now, this is a sizable amount of money in the mid-'80s. We're throwing $5 down. That was a big deal. And I was pumped up because in my mind, I'm about to make a free $5. So I head off on this run the next morning, and the whole early part of the run, I'm telling my Uncle Paul, hey, I'm about to clean house at school. I'm going to make $5 after I complete this run. And about 4 miles in is when I realized that I probably wasn't going to complete the run. And shortly after that, I ended up quitting. And I remember sitting down in the sand next to the water, right there on the beach in Mississippi. And, my Uncle Paul circled back around. He came and sat down next to me, and he was like, well, now you have a choice. And it's a really amazing spot that you get to be in your life, because you get to choose right now, what kind of man are you going to be? And we said, on one hand, you can go back to school, give him this $5, and he pulled a $5 bill out of his pocket and he handed it to me. You can give up this $5 and say you didn't complete what you said you were going to do. Or you can head back to school. I'm not going to be around. You can tell them that you did in fact complete it, even though you didn't. Force them to give you another $5 and you'll have $10. But the wonderful thing right now is you get to choose what kind of man are you going to be in life. And that's a great thing. And it gave me a lot to think about at a pretty young age. I remember I was up quite a bit that night thinking about it, and ultimately I ended up telling all my buddies that I didn't complete the run. I gave up the $5 and just kind of left it at that. And even when I was about to head off to boot camp, I was about to head to Parris Island. Uncle Paul, he was getting ready to retire at the time, and he called me up and just said, hey, just don't forget what USMC stands for. And I thought he was going to hit me with, we all got those jokes of, you yourself listening, you probably got an acronym, some sort of funny one that's running through your mind right now. But he quickly interrupted my train of thought, and he just said, USMC, it stands for you signed the mother effing contract. And it gave me a bit of pause. I was like, well, all right, got it. And I remember thinking about that for some time, like you signed the contract. And what it really stood out to me was just that this is going to be tough. And once you sign, once you go, you committed to doing this. It's time to complete what you signed up for. And that's just kind of how that's what stood out to me with that. And it wasn't until the other day that I was having a conversation with a veteran. He was a decorated veteran. He'd done quite a bit with his career, with his time in service. And he was really frustrated. He was really pissed off. He was out at a restaurant with some buddies. They were grabbing some food. And he asked him about a military discount. And they said, yeah, absolutely. We offer an active duty military discount. Anybody that's active duty, we'll give him a discount. And he, as a veteran, he blew up. He was very upset, even explaining the story. You can see him getting heated. He was telling me all about how he had done X, Y, Z in his time of service, and he couldn't believe that they were only offering it to active duty people and not to veterans as well. And it immediately brought me back to this conversation, this life lesson from my Uncle Paul of, you signed the contract. You signed. And it made me reflect on what was in that contract. And I'm pretty sure, for all of us, at no part of our contract that we signed said, after 4 years of service, you're guaranteed a discount at Chili's. That wasn't what it was. That's not a part of the deal. And somewhere along the way, I think we as veterans, all of us, tend to lose sight of that. And we tend to lose sight of what we actually signed up for. And the further we get away from our time of service, the more entitled some of us tend to be. And that's the way that it comes off. Like it, love it, hate it. The word entitlement is a real thing. It's the feeling of being owed something. And when we expect this restaurant, a store, anyone to recognize our service or to honor us with a discount, that is in fact a sense of entitlement, where we feel like we were owed something, when the fact is that wasn't a part of the contract. That wasn't what you signed up for. Whether it's true or not, and anywhere in your life, a sense of entitlement is always a toxic thing. It's toxic for you, and it's toxic for everyone around you. There's a ton of studies done on this cycle of entitlement, and it starts out where you feel like you're owed something. You feel like someone somewhere owes you something. And it's a really big problem, because once you have that expectation, once you feel like someone owes you something, it sets you up to be in a very vulnerable space. We end up being very vulnerable because the moment that expectation doesn't come true, that unmet expectation leads to anger. And we get upset and we get pissed off. And usually, after that subsides, after that moment goes away, we start to call some people. We complain, we call friends, we call buddies, and they come in and console us. They come in and console us, and they tell us whatever it is that we want to hear at that moment in time. And the problem with that is it starts the cycle over again. Because once they come in and say, well, don't worry about that restaurant or that place, and they put it all about that place. They don't tell us to get ourselves in check. The moment they do that, it solidifies our expectation. And then the next time we go into it, the cycle continues, but from a bigger place. And now we're in an even more vulnerable place the next time. And it's that sense of expectation going into a situation. And look, no part of me is saying don't take a discount. By all means, take a discount. I'm happy to accept a discount and thank them for any type of veteran discount they have. Take your benefits, take your discounts. I'm not suggesting you don't do that. All I'm asking is please don't expect it. Don't expect anyone to give you anything, because it wasn't a part of your contract. It wasn't. And the fact is, it's really unfair of anyone to bring them into it, because that was a contract between you and the U.S. government. Wherever you're feeling this sense of entitlement at anywhere in your life, that's a third party that was not there on the day you signed. They weren't there. And to bring them into it, it's unfair to you, it's unfair to them, and it doesn't do any good. And why I'm so passionate about this, number one, is it makes veterans look bad. That one person, we use this restaurant as the example. This shows up everywhere. It doesn't make them look at the situation and want to help us out even more. In fact, it pushes them further away from wanting to help out other veterans. They don't look forward to seeing veterans. They would rather not see them after that encounter that they have. And then it really doesn't help you. It's not going to help you the next time you run into that situation. And so that's my challenge, is at any point in time, don't walk into it with an expectation. Ask for it, mention it, but don't expect it. And if it's not there, simply thank them for considering. In this case right here, it's they were offering it to active duty military. Well, thank them for taking care of the soldiers, the men and women, the Marines, the sailors, all of them. So thank them for taking care of everybody that's on the ground doing what they do right now, and leave it at that. Give them your business anyway. Just give them your business, thank them, and leave it be. But please don't expect it. And see where this is showing up for you. I challenge you to really consider where this is showing up for you. I had one, for me on a personal note, because it's definitely not on this one veteran's shoulders. It's everywhere. It's all of us. I had we used to use the discount at Home Depot quite a bit. They used to offer a very sizable discount where it was unlimited 10% off of everything. Anything you purchased, you got 10% off. Well, we remodeled an entire house, and we maximized on that 10%. It was very generous. Well, during COVID, at some point in time, they cut that off, and they switched it to where it was still giving a 10%, but only up to $400 worth of purchases, meaning you could only get $40 off. After that, you were cut off. And I remember the first time that happened, I was like, oh, well, it used to be this way. And then I thought, well, it's not anymore. And I'm pretty grateful for everything they did up until that point in time. And they have their reasons. So I'm going to leave it be. So thank you for doing what you did. And I moved along. So we all have this. We have this show up anywhere. And the point is the moment you expect it, the moment you make it about somebody owing you, is the same moment it becomes very toxic for you and everyone else around you. So just consider how this is showing up for you, where it's showing up for you, and then do what we can do to walk away from it. Do what we can do to just honor what we signed up for. Become a veteran of your word. Honor it. Honor what you said you'd do, and then leave it at that. Do that for all of the other veterans you know, and do it, most importantly, do it for yourself. Until next time.